play, and we're going to share with you how we can play these really cool instruments. Most of the boys and girls have been practicing for a couple of weeks now, and we're going to play. We have the xylophones and the metallophones up here, and the cool thing about these instruments is no matter what you play, they sound good. You can't make any mistakes. And so we're going to tell the story for you. Boys and girls, listen carefully, and moms and dads, if you need to come close for a picture, that's okay with us. You can fill up the space here and get some good shots for us. Boys and girls, here we go. Once upon a time, there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler. He carried his caps on the top of his head. First, he had his checked cap. Then he had his gray cap. And his brown caps. Then he had his blue caps. And on the very top, he had his red caps. Can you say it really loud so your parents can hear you? Ready, go. Thank you. All right, he walked up and down the streets holding himself up very straight. And he sang the song. Ready, sing. Well, one morning nobody wanted to buy caps. Nobody even wanted a gray cap. Nobody even wanted a blue cap. And so he sang his song again, and it sounded like this. And still, that morning, nobody would buy caps. Not even a black cap. So he decided he would go for a walk in the country. But he walked very carefully and very straight so that the cap stayed on top of his head. And he came to a great big tree, and he decided it was time to rest. He sat down very slowly. He put his hand on the top of his head. Would you put your hand on the top of your head? And he felt to make sure that he still had his caps. Sure enough, he had his own checked cap, his gray cap, the brown caps, the blue caps, and the red caps. They were on the very top. They were all there, and then he went to sleep. He slept for a long time, and he woke up very refreshed. But before he stood up, he put his hand on the top of his head, and all he felt was his very own checked cap. He looked to the right of him, and all of a sudden he saw. He looked to the left of him. He looked in back of him. He looked behind the tree. But then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw but some monkeys? And on every monkey was a gray cap, a brown cap, a blue cap, and even a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddlers. He finally spoke to them. He shook his finger and he said, "You give me back my caps." But the monkeys answered. The peddler became more angry. He shook his finger at them and he said, "You give me back my caps." And the monkeys answered. Now he was quite angry, and the peddler for the third time said, "You give me back my caps." And the monkeys answered. Well, the last time he said it as loud and angry as he could, and it sounded like this. "You give me back my caps." But those silly monkeys only answered. At last, he was so angry, he stood up. He pulled off his cap. He threw it on the ground. And he left it there. He sat back down. And then each monkey pulled off his cap. They pulled off all the gray caps, and the brown caps, the blue caps, and all the red caps. And they came flying out of the tree. So pretty soon, the peddler rushed over and he picked up the check cap, the gray cap, the brown caps, the blue caps, and at the very top he put the red caps. And then slowly, very slowly, he came back to the town and he sang the song. Can you take your mallets and your instrument and can you play the end? And put your mallets down and stand up. And that's the end of our story. And first graders, make sure you get your cap back on your head. And moms and dads, that ends our program.